I try really hard not to give away spoilers, but it's so difficult. I don't know, Sam. Maybe that might happen. Who knows? Subtle. I know.
Thank you for joining the Escape With Me Book Club. Escape with me, Sam Reiner.
And me, Danielle.
Into our most recent read. Come with us as we evade reality and go into detail about a new book. We'll be discovering the book from beginning to end, so there will be spoilers. Today we're going to futuristic space, Africa, Asia, moon, all the places. Published February 4th, 2014, Cress is the third main installment to the Lunar Chronicles series. Adding to our list of fairy tales, we meet the author's version of Rapunzel, the Lunar's only hacker, basically?
I think she's the only one, yeah.
I think she's the only one, so that seems to be a flaw, but we'll get there.
She's like 15. Wow, way to be an entrepreneur. She's so smart. Look at her. Forced captivity, don't care. Get the credits, girl.
If nothing else, in this book, the Lunars learn why not to pin their entire technology plot on the shoulders of a random 10-year-old. Eventually, she gets older, obviously. Now, all grown up, Cress joins the resistance and finds herself thrown into the scary real world. And it's not how she daydreamed it would have been. Yeah, girl. When your entire reality is based on TV shows, and she doesn't even get current ones, it looks like. It's all, second era stuff. Girl.
Probably current soap dramas that are happening.
Yeah, we're the second era, so I'm just like, okay, so you're watching The Real Housewives,
Young and the Restless,
Grey's Anatomy.
Good show. Definitely realistic, completely.
She also is really into opera, because why not?
She's so cute. I love Cress. She's so cute.
It's so quirky. I just think that's funny that of all of it, like she had Taylor Swift she could have picked, but she picked opera.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be fair, they have a big emotion without really having to say or do anything.
And it sounds like it works for her voice. So we're continuing your pick, because you picked a series and now we're just continuing with it forever because I liked it.
Well, we're almost done, but still a lot.
And by no surprise to literally anyone who's listened to any of these podcasts, I do believe this one's your favorite.
Yes, I go back and forth between if it's this or Cinder, because the OG is so good. But Cress is just this cute little, you want to wrap her up in a hug and carry you in her pocket. She's so cute and vulnerable. And I don't know. I like the way she sees the world, because even though bad stuff keeps happening to this girl, she's optimistic. And Cinder's like, nope, doom and gloom. And Scarlet is like, oh, the world is terrible. And then you meet Cress, and she is a breath of fresh air. Oh, so cute.
Some might consider her naive,
delusional. I don't even care. She is wonderful.
So let's get all the other stuff out of the way. So this is still a young adult. Content warning. Kidnapping, needles, blood, graphic violence, abuse, emotional and mental, suicide mentioned, murder, human trafficking, racism, torture, bugs, death from illness, sexual harassment, medical gore, and genocide.
Just some light topics for you.
Just your average young adult fare. I don't know why I think of young adult being lighter topics, considering even the YA that I read as a teenager, where I would look back and be like, whoa, what?
It's apocalyptic, or someone's got cancer, or
vampires.
Yeah.
A lot of vampires.
Which even that is preying on the young and vulnerable and this power dynamic, and it's still not light and fluffy. It's mid-lit. Mid-lit's mostly light and fluffy. Oh, except for all the ones with the dogs dying. Okay, well, maybe not. Maybe no books are light and fluffy. Beach reads, but honestly, a bunch of those ended up just being spicy books.
I was starting to say, what do you consider a beach read? Because my husband's favorite thing to read at the beach is the most depressing, apocalyptic nonsense. And I love bringing murder mysteries.
Well, I was thinking of a rom-com, but
we all have our different tastes. Judge a book by its cover. Okay. Whoever did the cover artist for the new ones, because the old one is really good, actually. It's long hair in a braid that wraps around a hand, and then there's a red ribbon around it, which signifies the red bandana that Thorne wears. The second one for the US release took the source material and just threw it out the window. In the book, it goes down to her waist. Not on that cover. That cover had it going for miles. It's way too long. And then there's a second image that they do, and on Cinder, it's Cinder running away from the ball, and the second one, it's Wolf jumping off the train with Scarlet, I know the characters. Granted, she's barely in this book, but that's beside the point. I said last episode that in this book, they could take her and put her somewhere else, and the plot would not be affected.
You were not wrong.
And I was not wrong. The only difference is Wolf is like, I'm angry. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I have the braid cover. What is the other new cover for this one?
Yeah, it's the one with the people. Remember, they have ones with the people now?
Close.
That's the new box set that I got, because you have the other ones.
I know. It's like when I rate something on Goodreads and it's not the cover that Libby had or that I physically was reading. What are you doing here? And then you have to go to the alternate cover.
So the second photo is after they've crash landed and they're walking through the desert. First of all, Cress is way too tall because she's supposed to be, the top of her head comes to like his collarbone. So he's too tall. Secondly, he didn't have a bandana around his face until they met the caravanners. Thirdly, the bandana is red. Why is it white?
Oh, yeah, I don't like that one. That's the one that's on Audible.
I had a mild complaint about the artistic style of Scarlet and a little bit of I thought Cinder had brown hair, not jet black. But this one's just like, nah, I'm gonna art and you're gonna put it on your cover.
I love the old covers.
And I like the new ones because it's fun. I mean, granted, I don't really think that's a very great future, satellite, technology, but not looking at that. Looking at just the stark contrast of a girl and a satellite, and in the background you can see the Earth. It's so good, but they did not care about the source material.
Yeah, Cress is supposed to be like
super short. She's like 5 foot.
So short. Which, to be fair, I'm only like 5'4", 5'5", something like that. So it's not unbelievably teeny tiny, but
shorter than that photo.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with short girls. Let them have it.
But also, is her hair only to her knees?
I remember it saying it was just to her waist.
There's no way, because she was tripping on it constantly, and it kept getting stuck in things. It had to be longer than that. And I know I'm projecting because of Rapunzel, but she kept getting it stuck in stuff on the satellite.
I think she's around 16? I don't have it written down, so I don't know if it's ever confirmed how old she is, but that would only be 6 years of growth. It's not going to be super, super long.
I pictured at least to her feet. I mean, that is very long. And she's also only 5 foot. Why was she struggling so much? Girl, put a ponytail in. Let's go.
She kept braiding it, but every time she mentioned getting tripped up over it, it was usually like, oh, I'm laying down or something and I tripped over my hair, or I'm sitting. It was never, I am walking and I tripped over my own hair.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just such a huge plot point. I definitely pictured it every single time, so at least her feet.
That makes a very big difference. But like I said, it's only 6 years of growth. And I remember when I was 5, I had it down to like pretty close to my lower back, pretty long hair. And I was tiny, but that was like 5 years worth of growth. It's not as much as this picture is whatsoever. And it's not as much as you would think it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like more. And the satellite was tiny, so it getting caught in stuff, her running around being all crazy. I don't know. I'm going to keep picturing it till her toes, though.
It will be in my memory how I choose it to be in my memory.
Also, spoilers, but she gets a haircut, so.
Immediately. It's not at the end, like Disney's Rapunzel or the other one. But okay, now that we're talking about it, I am so mad at myself. His last name is Thorne.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm so dumb. And then I knew it was Rapunzel. Ah!
Yep.
Oh, and it was pretty far into the book, too, where I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, Thorne, like the brambles and stuff that in the fairy tale Rapunzel. It's hard because she gets a haircut pretty early on, and she's not called Rapunzel. Like Scarlet, obviously, Red Riding Hood. Cinder, Cinderella, easy. But Cress, because of her name, it's so easy to disassociate because she's not in the tower/satellite for very long. And so it's hard to keep imagining her as Rapunzel because she gets free and she's having her adventure, which, I mean, also the Disney one does pretty quickly. But I don't know. I kept forgetting she was Rapunzel the very first time that I read this. So I read it like 3 times before I put together the Thorne part, that it was Rapunzel and Thorne.
Oh, okay. Hey, she's 17.
Okay, I was going to say, she was 16 or 17.
Because the book starts and she's like, I have been imprisoned on this ship for 7 years. And then later on she mentions, oh, I was 10 when I was brought on the ship. So she's 17.
Yeah, all the main girls are 16 to 19, I think.
I don't know how old Winter is, so.
Old enough to get married. She's a princess. Got to do her royal duty.
Yeah, but depending on the culture, that doesn't necessarily mean a certain age.
True. I do think she's like 18 or 19 now. She's older than Cinder.
So Cress is on the satellite because they found out when she was young she has unnaturally good hacking skills. This is one of those books where I'm like, if you were someone who actually works in coding, I'm sure this just is unreadable.
Just ignore it. Keep on reading.
I'm just so curious. It's like when a doctor watches Grey's Anatomy.
Hand it to me, Scott.
I am sure this is absolutely unreadable to someone who's actually in the field, but I'm not. So
yeah,
I have the self-awareness to be like, I bet this is trash, but not the knowledge to know if it is or not. But yeah, so this 10-year-old is the best hacker in the world. And so they put her on a satellite and they're like, hey, do all this hacking stuff. And she's literally the only hacker they have because when she stops hacking, all of their stuff goes to pot.
Yeah, they had no backup plan.
This was horrible planning.
Because even if someone's not the best, you don't have a number 2. You don't have a number 5, number 6.
And straight up, Sybil was like, I'm going to murder you now. Was there no contingent plan in case this happened?
No, she got mad and didn't think it through.
The only hacker they have is a 17-year-old girl in a random satellite that they're still stealing blood from. Because, shock and surprise, shells aren't actually being murdered. They're being kept for their blood.
What I don't get is why they kept trying to get Cress's blood. Was it just an illusion so she wouldn't figure out that the blood was important? But then why would they still keep taking it? I don't know. She's one shell on a satellite by herself. Bring her a little bit of food. Why were you still taking her blood when they have potentially hundreds of thousands of other shells that they're taking blood from?
I agree. Why is Sybil traveling? Okay, here's the thing. Best hacker in the world, right?
Yeah.
Best hacker in the world. She can do anything. Why doesn't Cress hack into the systems to figure out why they're harvesting her blood? Maybe she never had the idea, but I feel like on some of the dramas she was watching, like...
Your blood is special, ma'am.
So why is Sybil risking the chance of her even knowing about the blood harvest? I don't know. They're dumb. They do stupid things just so we can have a plot. Because if the Lunars were actually competent and as scary as they made them out to be in the first book, how would teenagers ever be able to manage it?
I know, and not even skilled teenagers. I mean, I love Cinder and all, but she's terrible. She is not a good leader. She's not great at even manning her, 4-person crew? She immediately loses 3 of them. Hello, what are you doing?
What? So, anyway, because she's the greatest hacker in the world, Cinder gets in her possession a decom chip, which Cinder uses to, once again, it was used in the first book, but once again use it to try to get to Cress. And they're like, oh, hey, Cress, what's up? And then Cress is like, hey, you should rescue me because I'm on a satellite. And they're like, hey, that sounds like a great idea. Let's come rescue you. The best summary I can give of that. But of course, because I'm convinced this is the only way this love story happens, Cress is obsessed with Thorne. He's the most amazing person ever. He's so handsome. Oh, he does all these things in his past that make him look like a bad boy, but he has a good heart. Blah, blah, blah. Ugh. Cress, this doesn't work. I spent the entire last book with him.
We know he's not great.
We know he's trash.
He's just a little rough around the edges.
Ugh. There are good qualities of Thorne, but I'm still not sold on Thorne and Cress.
Yeah, she definitely could do better.
And I like that as part of her development, there was one specific phrase near the end that I really liked, kind of jumping. Because I like her personal character arc about all this. I think you might be right, though. Maybe there isn't such a thing as fate. Maybe it's just the opportunities we're given and what we do with them. I'm beginning to think that maybe great epic romances don't just happen. We have to make them ourselves. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a great lesson for the kiddos. And it's a good arc for her because she starts off and she's like, oh, everything's fated. Thorne and I will meet and we'll fall in love and he'll be so obsessed with me because, 17-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
Raised on second era dramas.
Well, and she had been researching him because he was with Cinder for a solid week before they met. She deep dived.
How long is Scarlet? Like a week?
It's not very long.
It's not long at all. I think you're right. I think it's a week.
Yeah, but she gets super obsessive because obviously, but she learns every single thing about him, including stuff that's not on any kind kind of personal file. She goes back to middle school and gets all his report cards and, he was in a fight with this one kid, blah, blah, blah. And she determines her own reason for why he did all of the things that he did.
Because he said why he did them, because he's a liar.
He gets caught, and then he is able to spin it because he's got some charm and charisma and a cute little smile. He's winking in his mugshot.
If they did that in real life, they would make him retake it.
Oh, for sure. He reminds me kind of, just a brief description, he kind of reminded me of Channing Tatum. So it's kind of what I pictured most of the time. 21 Jump Street Channing Tatum.
Oh, I was very confused for a second.
Oh, not Magic Mike. Although he does flirt with every single person.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and by the way, I can confirm it only goes just past her knees, her hair.
Okay, good. I guess that's accurate. My book's not then. But to be fair, is mine just the braid on the floor, or is it supposed to be floor length? It's just lying on the floor. Then it looks longer.
A lot of hair.
That would hurt, honestly. And she talks about it. It's like, the release of pressure. Like, that would actively hurt, I feel like. That much pressure for tiny little roots to hold onto your head. Man, you would shed like crazy. Anyway.
Wouldn't know. Don't have hair on too many.
No. So yeah, she's obsessed with Thorne because all of this stuff. And later on you find out, no, Thorne was just lying because he's a lovable rogue.
He's such a goofball. Look at him. Letting tigers out of the zoo. Getting into fights so girls will do his math homework. Flat out stealing. So cute.
I can't. Maybe it'll happen in the 4th book, but I don't think he's had enough character development for me not to be like, child, please, anyone else.
I don't know. I had a lot of respect for him, and I know it's stupid because he's overall not a great guy, but because Cress is so clearly in love with him. He flirted with Scarlet a tiny bit until it was clear that that was Wolf's girl, and he flirted with Cinder, and he even flirted with Aiko when she was a ship, a spaceship. This guy is just full of charm and flirtation, but he realized that Cress had a legit crush, thought she was in love with him, and he tried so hard to shut that down and be like, hey, I'm so sorry, this is not what's happening. And she's like, I just want to be kissed. She's delusional, thinking she's about to die, which she wasn't. And so he promises, when we're going to die, you will get your first kiss so you won't die without a first kiss, kind of thing. And then he makes no moves because she'd be easy. She'd be an easy target. She's so vulnerable, brand new to the earth.
Okay, small props for him not being gross, being a creep, frankly.
From how much was set up in the beginning of Scarlet of him literally flirting with every single person.
Literally looking at pornography on this tablet.
In jail. I don't know. It's not like, he's a great guy, but...
At least he's not utter garbage. I feel like that's where we're at.
He's not great, and Cress could do 100% better, but...
Because it's like later on, Dr. Erlin's like, you're not worth her. And I'm like, yes! Thank you! Someone say it! Cinder's too worried about the world falling apart and trying to figure out how to overdo things. Wolf is upset that Scarlet's been taken. On a side note, though, I could see Wolf and Cress. It's not happening. Them together was kind of cute, but that was just me being desperately like, please, anyone else.
They're hilarious as a duo because she's terrified of him.
To begin with.
It's so cute. It would be hilarious.
It's alternate theory, fan fiction. I could just see Scarlet and Thorne together before I could see... Anyway, that's my thought.
Scarlet could give Thorne a run for his money. I would ship them.
He needs a woman to call him out.
Mm-hmm. But then he goes into protective mode with Cress, and some of that's kind of cute. I don't know. I'm down for it. It's clearly what's canon in the book, so... It's
very obvious. The author makes the ship super obvious.
The names of things that are very related to Red Riding Hood and Rapunzel. Cinder's, he's the prince, so I guess prince, emperor. He becomes king. But Kai doesn't really match with Cinder at all because it's just a name together.
Is this what we've come to? To be fair, her name is technically Celine.
True. So she's also wrong.
Oh my gosh. But anyway, so they're gonna come save her, except Sybil shows up. I'm not actually sure why. I don't remember. She just shows up because she had to, because plot. And let me just say with this, we know that Sybil took over the satellite before Cinder and them does. And this is how you use dramatic irony, people. You use it to increase the tension, not make your characters look like idiots. It's used well because we know, and they're like, let's go to the satellite. And it's like, who should go? It's like, but what if it's a trap? It's not a trap. And you're like, it's a trap, it's a trap, it's a trap.
I know.
And then later on, when Thorne Thorne, because Thorne gets caught with Cress and they're going to be plunged to the Earth in the satellite. Once again, horrible idea, because you know what should happen next? Someone should go collect that satellite that crashed into the ground because it has all this lunar technology. Yeah, a lot of it's going to get broken up, but I'm just saying, this is a terrible idea. No one's going to make sure they're dead? No. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Sybil was injured, so she wasn't thinking 100% clearly, but clean up your mess, girl.
I get how she's scary to Cress, but the build-up in the first book where it's like, oh, Luvana's the one scaring you. She's like, no, it's Sybil. She's terrible. She's an idiot. Oh, goodness. She ends up dead, by the way, in this book. Spoilers, not spoilers. And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like I don't know. There were moments where she had that high-key, amazing, whatever. But even moments where she's being the evil mother. The evil mother, the witch threw the prince out into brambles and tried to hide Rapunzel again. She is literally your only hacker.
No.
No, just die. We don't need you anymore. Bye.
I'm mad at you. You're dead now.
How did Sybil get this high rank?
Because she kept feeding Cress's energy. I don't think Levana knew Cress existed. I think Sybil was pretending that she was the hacker. It's never clearly stated at all, or at least not to my knowledge. So maybe she does know about the little shell that Sybil was hiding, but I don't know.
It would be a long con if that's what she was doing.
Just how else would she get that high up in rank? She wasn't passing off somebody else's work.
I don't know.
She only ever controls 2 people at a time, or Lunars or humans or whatever.
Yeah, and she seems to be in charge of the shell project somehow. I don't know. She's bad at this and she makes hasty decisions. Stop being a Nickelodeon adult. But once again, if she were competent, how would teenagers ever do it? I feel like we're slowly getting the mystery gang together. I don't know. We've hit the point. We're just like, gosh darn you meddling kids.
To be fair, them kids be meddling.
So this is the big deal, because this whole time Wolf has been trying to help Cinder and she's not doing great.
No. She can't even control one lunar operative for more than a minute.
Yeah, and if she does it, she can't fight. It's like, okay, I'm done. This is all I can focus on.
Okay, but you're trying to take down the queen, who's had years of experience, who is a full-fledged monster.
Well, let's be honest right now. What was her plan? You know what her plan was? And I'm so mad about it because it went on for way too long. Their plan was to crash the royal wedding, because in the end of the last book, Kai was like, oh, I'll accept your marriage proposal because I'm desperate, frankly. But beside the point of short-term benefits with long-term cost, because really he was just saving his people. Let's be honest. He's like, oh, I need to save the world. No, you're saving your people, because Levana's gonna do that to the other countries as soon as she can.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But anyway, short-term benefits. So they're getting married, and this book takes place over a month, and the month until the wedding. And their idea, their honest to goodness only plot until they meet Dr. Erlin, and Dr. Erlin is like, you are all stupid, is to crash the wedding and for Cinder to announce that she is Princess Celine, and then Levana will just give her the throne.
This woman who created monster wolf hybrid things and just let them loose because she wasn't getting her way. This woman who sent a plague down to kill millions of people on Earth will just go away. Who killed, or thought she killed, her niece, who's the real heir. No, she's not going down without an insane fight.
I don't understand what her thought process here was. And Erlin points out, is like, hey, why are you trying to appeal to Earthians? You need Lunars to be like, yes, we want you to be your princess. Earthians have been making fun of you in the news media for the entirety of the past week. That is canon from Scarlet, because that's the first time we see Scarlet throw a massive Hulk temper tantrum, is because someone is making fun of her, because she is a cyborg and a lunar, and they don't like her.
How in the world would anybody believe that she's a princess? That's all I'm saying.
No one would. It took Kai freaking forever, and she had to specifically say it, even though it was super obvious. This is the plan that they are working on until a responsible adult is like, hey, you're being dumb. Thank heavens for Erland. The only time I might say that.
So then their new plan is to kidnap Kai, but they don't know how, so that they can stop the wedding.
Well, no, here's the thing. Before that plan, and they completely abandoned this plan. This plan never comes up again. Their original plan is to get the wedding postponed to have it done on the moon instead. We completely drop that plot after a couple of chapters, and then we're like, yeah, we're gonna kidnap the emperor and make sure the wedding doesn't happen at all. What happened to let's make it on the moon so we can get up there on some delegate's ship? What is your plan now? How are you gonna disguise yourself getting on? And I know you can't tell me because it's in the next book and it would be spoilers, but at this point in time, Kai calls her out for just basically putting one foot in front of the other instead of looking where she's going. And she's like, yep, that's absolutely what I'm doing in her mind. She doesn't say that, but she's like, that is exactly what we're doing here.
No real plan.
You better be glad you are a main character.
What would they have done if they didn't all end up reuniting? Because, well, not Scarlet, but it literally, this ragtag team finally meets up.
Clandestine.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing.
You were right.
Here's with that. Let's talk about getting there. So there's a fight when Sybil comes on board, and they end up having a switcheroo where Sybil takes Scarlet.
Yeah, because she needs a pilot.
And so she leaves her pilot disguised as Scarlet, which doesn't Cinder have a little, oh, this is lying blinker?
It takes her a second to realize glamour.
Anyway, so Sybil disguises her pilot as Scarlet. So Cinder grabs, quote unquote, Scarlet, pulls her in the area because they're about to blast everything into space. So Sybil manages to run away with Scarlet back to Luna so she doesn't come up again. Oh, here, we can get rid of Scarlet real quick. She goes to the moon. She tries to escape. It sucks. By the way, her glamour mind is really depressing. And once again, I really wish Michelle had another one of those thingies for her granddaughter, but that's beside the point. So she's on the moon, and then she gets tortured. I'm pretty sure she loses a finger.
She does. She cuts it off herself.
Which they, angle the camera, so power of suggestion, so we don't actually read it happening, but yeah, is heavily implied. So she gets tortured in this throne room to try to tell them information, even though Scarlet doesn't know anything because she just joined the group.
She doesn't know Cress. The only one she's really knows at all is Wolf, and he's lied to her most of her book, and then Thorne's there. She doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
They've been together a week?
Not even. Don't even think it's been a week. Sybil, horrible wager. Why didn't she take Wolf?
Wolf would have known stuff.
He's weak-willed. His whole thing was recon. Anyway, horrible life decisions. So she gets tortured to get what limited information they can get from them. So they get nothing. Because she doesn't even know the plan about sneaking into the wedding.
No. Did she know that Cinder was Celine or no? I don't even know if she knew that fully.
Okay, let's see.
What the characters do and do not know list is pretty long. Like Jason, the guard, he doesn't know the plot for like almost this whole book.
Yeah. And then he hears it and he's like, you guys are idiots.
I know. He's like, I'll defend my princess. And she's like, cool, you're on my side. And it's like, you're not the princess he knows. Why would it be you?
Although, to be fair, that got me too, because I forgot about Winter.
Winter's so cute. I cannot wait for her book.
She's a Luna Lovegood.
She's delusional for sure. Yeah. I don't know. It's in a different way than Cress. I know they're very similar, and Cinder and Scarlet were very similar.
Well, Cress is naive and young. Winter has been purposely not using her mind control powers, which in canon causes them to go crazy.
Yeah. So she is
actually crazy, but she's doing it for a good purpose. So Scarlet, first of all, she gets given to this random lunar family who are terrible, and this little child basically tortures her to practice his gift. And I'm just like, these are the people you're gonna try to convince to dethrone Levana? This is our only glimpse into Lunars, and they are terrible people.
Yeah, the aristocrats are not it. But to be fair, in human society, they're also terrible, so.
She's so naive about world order. But, okay, so she gets summoned to the throne room. She manages to tell the whole room that Cinder is the true queen. Winter tries to save her, but she ends up losing a finger. That's literally all of my notes from that scene.
Okay, so she did know she was Celine.
Yeah, and I think that's the only information they get out of her.
Yeah, and they try to shut that down immediately.
And then Scarlet wakes up, and she's in a animal menagerie. menagerie. And Winter shows up and is like, hey, I want to be besties. And Scarlet is like, cool, you're Lunar and I hate you. And Winter is like, oh, that's so adorable. Pat, we're going to be besties. And by the way, I have a white wolf.
She does, though.
She does. And the next cover is only kind of a lie, but we'll get to my issues on that cover next time. So that is all of Scarlet's plot.
She gets to eat some candy that has medicine in it. That was a big part of her plot in this book, the whole nothing.
Her plot was just to introduce Winter, I feel like.
It definitely was. I think that's part of why I don't like Scarlet. She's so useless in this. She's only partly even in Winter. She has her book and her moment, but that's it. I mean, she is obviously in Winter more than she was in this book, but I don't know. Her story is done, and then they just keep her along because she found her wolf. Her grandma died.
Yeah, and I can definitely see how, like, in this book, she's not there. Aiko gets more plot than Scarlet gets in this book.
Aiko is adorable.
She finally gets the body she's been desiring.
And then they immediately ruin it by fighting.
True. But that's the entirety of Scarlet's plot. Scarlet's done. We have no more use to talk about Scarlet.
She's gone. Bye. Wolf is sad and misses her.
And he's obnoxious about it. I get it.
He's an animal.
But self-destructing is helping no one. In fact, it causes issues, sir.
I know.
Anyway.
I think that's also part of why I don't like Scarlet, because her partner is so obnoxious about it.
Scarlet, I get it. Scarlet does get tortured and she loses a finger and is horrible. It's not a good time. But Scarlet's hardy. Scarlet has tenacity and anger like no one else. She lives out of pure spite at this point. She got this, man. Go find her. It was hard to juxtapose Scarlet, granted being really cool. She's doing cool things, like trying to get away and whatever, not being a little captive. But it's like, I would have believed his meltdown if it was a Cress character, where it really was like, oh, my little damsel in distress.
If he had to protect her.
Yeah, but Scarlet's got this. She's gonna stay alive out of pure spite and hatred and dark chocolate until he shows up and they're able to go murder people. She's fine, man. You can do this. You just need to go get her and not trash an entire hotel room and almost murder Cinder.
To be fair, Wolf is the only person in their little group that actually knows how evil Levana is and what she's capable of.
At that time, yes.
He's been on the moon, unlike every other character in this story. Cress was born there, but she was immediately shuttled to the tunnels and then was on a satellite. Useless. Cinder was born there, but immediately sent to Earth, almost dying, lost her identity. Thorne's human. He's the only one. And Scarlet's missing. She is a quarter Lunar, but worse than a shell. So she's so human.
Yeah, she is very, very easily brainwashed.
And then the only other one who kind of sympathizes is Jason, the guard. And he's like, yeah, because he's been Winter's guard and he's fully seen what Levana is capable of. And he's like, yeah, you should probably hope she's dead. And Wolf's like, yeah, I know, man.
I don't like him counting her out like that.
It is very annoying, but I get it.
Don't underestimate your girl. Because I know they've only been together for a week, but bruh. Reverse psychology probably works wonders on her. She will do whatever the heck she wants to do, no matter what the consequences are. Anyway, I'm spending way too much time on this. I'm spending more time on her than the book is. But the important thing is here. So Cress and Thorne crash land in the desert. That sucks. And that's when they find out Thorne is blind now because of the crash.
He hit his head too hard.
I don't remember what Dr. Erland said. I think it had something to do with how your eyes attach to the brain. Oh, my 9th grade biology is failing me, but there's something going on with that, and it gets disconnected. And so later on, Dr. Erland makes a solution where the stem cells will create another link, because it's not a brain thing, it's an eyeball thing. But yeah, so he's blind. So they're in the desert. Cress has never really done anything in her life. So the super pale girl who does not have any muscles, she's been trying. Girl been trying. I can give her that, but she does not have muscles.
This girl's not wearing shoes, also in the desert.
Not wearing shoes, never been in a desert before, never been in a survival situation before. And then you have Thorne, who has done all of those things, but can't see. And I have to admit, I like how the blindness is handled, because it could have really easily kind of gone into, oh my gosh, you're blind. That's terrible. It's the worst thing that could have possibly happened to you. How could would anybody live like this? You know.
Yeah, this is very inconvenient for our survival, but let's go.
I'm going to do this because that's Thorne's personality. He gets blinded and he's like, we will figure this out later. Right now, we got to do the thing. He just has too much spirit.
You gotta give it to him. He tries.
And so I'm glad they didn't harp on, sorry, I'm thinking of another book I read recently. You read The Little Mermaid Twisted Tales.
Oh, yeah. The disability in that.
Yeah. Being mute is the worst thing in the world. How dare I have to use sign language? Why doesn't anyone understand? So I really like how it's handled because it doesn't make light of it because, wow, that actually sucks. Like, that's a really horrible time for a disability like that to pop up. But he's like, we're going to do this. We're going to figure this out. We're going to do this. So they make their way through the desert and almost die because desert, and anyone, honestly, 3 days in the desert, in the Sahara Desert, they come to find out. Not great. Cress experiences her first illusion in the desert. What is it called?
Oh, mirage.
Yeah, she sees a mirage of an oasis. So after several days, and they're basically about to die, but they run across, for the first time, a life form of any variety. It's a form of deer antelope-like family. I've forgotten the name of, but I looked up a picture of it, and it's very cute. But it gets shot by a hunter, and the hunter is like, oh my goodness, people! What?
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? And Thorne's like, we're married, and we're on our honeymoon, and we got lost because we got mugged.
Legit. Sounds good. Totally believable.
From how quickly the caravan took that story, I was immediately like, I don't trust you people.
Something's wrong with you guys. Yeah, for sure.
They were immediately like, oh, you're so cute. You two, he's telling us stories about you. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Cress gets sun poisoning, and she's very sick for several days, and they are totally fine with being held up extra time in the desert.
Despite being merchants that sell things.
It's sus. They were way too nice. So I always suspected them.
They could have traveled with her, I think.
I don't know. They only had camels, so I don't think that would have been great. For Cress's safety, they probably couldn't have, but I'm surprised the entire caravan stayed behind and was like, yeah, we're totally cool with being delayed.
Because a couple of them could have stayed and it still would have been fine and safety and whatever.
Yeah, and the fact that they're totally fine with sharing all their food and water, which is a limited resource. It feels like they're investing in these two.
And they were.
Because they are. They get to the hotel. Thorne, and the hotel they're staying at is having a gambling contest. And he's Thorne. So he's like, I'm gonna go do the gambling contest and whatever. And he keeps being bad at it. And there's this girl that's actually an android flirting with him. And at some point, Cress goes downstairs because she's like, oh my gosh, the satellite has been found. I better warn Thorne. And she goes downstairs and she sees the most beautiful woman she's ever seen in her whole life.
She's seen no people. She's only seen med dramas.
Yeah, I'm like, this is probably the fourth human woman you've ever seen. Because I mean, she's seen Cinder and Scarlet technically through the decom chip. And then there's at least one woman in the caravan. I think there's an older lady too. So this is the fifth woman she's ever seen, third in person. That's not Luna. I still don't understand the difference between the two, if they look different at all, but I don't know. Anyway, so she immediately is like, oh my goodness, man, I'm so upset. How dare he? I know we were just pretending. And I'm like, girl.
She's in love with him, Sam. She can't help it.
Help it a little bit.
She can't. It's love.
I can't. At least give Scarlet a little bit, being like, I think there's something weird with you. Granted, they still romance or whatever, but at least she was like, I am aware of what I'm getting into here. Cress.
Head first. Let's go.
So, because Cress is upset, the lady from the caravan is like, oh, let's go to dinner with me and my husband.
Kidnapped immediately.
Yeah, she gets kidnapped. They're at this car, and Cress is like, oh, that's weird. Why do you have a car? It's like, oh, when we need to get to other places. And they're talking, like, standing in front of her, talking about the place that they're going to and whether or not they have the cargo.
Yeah, because they're speaking in the not universal language that she can't speak.
Yeah, but also they're speaking in universal. This is also the first time that they've mentioned there's a common language. Why does Cinder not know more languages?
First of all, why does does Cinder not? Why does Cress not? All she does is eavesdrop on people. She has unlimited time and resources.
I don't at all believe that there's not at least 3 languages that Cinder knows. At least 3. She lives in the poor area. You think everyone's going to school and learning universal? Sure, a little bit, but they're going to have a country language, I feel like. Okay, some sort of common language that everyone learns. But you're going to tell me they completely got rid of any form of Chinese?
Yeah.
That no one else in the area, that it's a metropolitan area with a lot of people, no one else speaks dialects?
Because they're in New Beijing. Scarlet has to at least know French because she's from France. So I think she speaks the English common whatever and then French.
So this is the first time we're told that anyone knows any sort of other language beside common.
Yeah. Scarlet audiobook has a very thick accent, so I assumed that she knew. Okay, Aiko, she doesn't know any languages. Cinder, who has in her head translator or the ability to translate things, she never learned a language.
It's a little late in the world building to finally introducing new languages. Like, Kai would at least know some other forms of language. Alas.
Well, even when they're talking to the diplomat, Kai, they might have mentioned it like one time, in the universal tongue, but honestly, I don't remember them addressing it until this book. I assume that they did just because of whatever, that many nations, they can't all be speaking different languages.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's late. We're 3 books in, and we're just now being like, oh, we know different languages.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyways, everybody only speaks universal, our main crew. But also, does Lunar not have a different language, or are they also universal? What are the chances?
I really feel like they should be. But when Winter talks, she uses universal because Scarlet can understand, even though that would have been the perfect time for Lunar language to be brought up. And also, the people that had Scarlet as a pet used universal because Scarlet could understand them. That once again would be another perfect time to introduce that the Lunars have a different language.
I don't think they do.
They don't, because Scarlet can understand everything that's said.
Well, they migrated from Earth, but Earth has lots of languages, lots of countries, lots of everything. So unless they had declared you can only speak this language and then for generations enforced it.
Yeah, because it is generations and generations later.
Yeah.
I don't believe that, because that's how languages become, is people get separated and then they form different ways. That's why Spanish and French both come from Latin, but they're different languages. And that's on the same continent right next to each other. Think of all the different forms of English.
Yeah.
Brave makes fun of how Scottish English is so hard to understand for American audiences.
But alas, Cress cannot understand what they're saying when she's getting kidnapped.
I feel like they would have to attest for the fact that someone named Dmitry Erland, probably from Russia, because, okay, I think they finally addressed what country Russia is. No, they don't. There was something that they mentioned where I'm just like, maybe it was still the last book when they were naming all the cities that got hit. And I'm still, where is Russia? Is it part of the European Union? Is it part of the Eastern Commonwealth? Is it split down the Andes Mountains where it's like, oh, that portion of Russia we consider this, and that part of Russia we consider Asia? I have questions. Australia somehow gets to be its own thing. I'm curious about all the island nations in Pacific.
I know, like, is Hawaii finally going to be there by themselves?
I have no idea. Confirmed, though, I think it is confirmed that America is all of the Americas.
Yeah, the American Republic.
We have somehow decided as 2 separate continents to join together. That at all has no cultural, language, or any other boundaries because everyone knows universal, so it's fine, guys. I have geographical questions in this world building. It's not bad science, bad politics.
That one was in science this time.
Anyway, but yeah, that's confirmed that they are one and the same. UK gets to stay by themselves. Freaking Brexit in the 4th era.
Of course they do.
But all of Africa is its own thing. American republics, all of the Americas.
Yeah, I mean, it mostly stayed the same as what you kind of would assume now.
By the continents, yeah, except UK is on par with the entirety of America.
Yep.
Okay. Again, Australia is by itself. The Eastern Commonwealth is like a good chunk of Asia. Japan is part of the Eastern Commonwealth. That is also confirmed. I still have questions. What are we doing with Iran? Is that part of the European Union? Or is that Africa? Are they their own thing? Because it also has been semi-introduced that not everyone is part of the Earthen Union. I have questions. None of which will probably be answered. Anyway, yeah, Cress gets kidnapped because they're human trafficking Lunars, because Dr. Erlin has been buying Lunars basically to get their blood to try to reverse engineer the formula for the vaccine for the plague. Because, oh yeah, by the way, the plague is back in this book. We basically ignored it for all of last book, even though it was a main plot point and a driving force in the first book. We've moved on to lunar operatives. So that's back a little bit, and they learned that it's kind of mutated, because before it could not harm lunars, but now it can, which is great. About time. You deserve it. Because not Levana, but her predecessor has been starting the experiments with shells. And Levana's like, hey, I let some people, like refugees that are escaping from Luna, just so happen to have the plague. And I sent it to you guys. You're welcome.
Don't worry, I've been working on the antidote.
That we just so happen to have now. Not earlier. Now. Because Kai was always suspicious of that, but...
Yeah. Well, and if his dad would not make a marriage alliance and would not make a treaty, wasn't willing to either marry her himself or pawn his son off, so, wow. Then he gets the plague and is now dead, and suddenly she has the cure.
But him and literally no one else. His head advisor is fine, his son is fine, the head of his research is fine, granted he's a lunar, but still, only him?
You didn't have a lunar guest come by? An unsuspecting shell needed to come meet the Emperor?
Suspicious. And despite Dr. Erlin being like, this is all important and we needed to tell our Emperor, this book ends before Cinder tells Kai literally anything that she's learned about Levana.
Yeah.
Guys, priorities.
It's to get you to read the next book, which is massive.
I know. I'm so tired already. What is Cress? Like 1,000,000 pages. And I'm just looking, it's a notable thickness difference between Cinder and Winter. Oh no. Which, by the way, at this point, we are at the POV count of 9. We would have had 10 if Wolf was granted a chapter, but screw him. We've got Cress, Cinder, Scarlet, Kai, Dr. Erlin, Thorne, Aiko. Aiko gets the one. That's pretty cool. Sybil and Levana. So many POVs. And we're about to probably get more. To go back where we were, Cress gets human trafficked to Dr. Erlin. And Cress isn't happy about it, which I don't blame her. And Dr. Erlin does a terrible job of explaining that nothing bad will happen to her. He's not good with people. He's never been good with people. That has always been documented, but yikes. Anyway, he figures out that she is his daughter, his little crescent moon that started him on the path of becoming Dimitri Erland, because he was told that she gets killed because Levana is vain and doesn't want anybody that she can't control. Which horrible propaganda, by the way. The propaganda of, oh, we kill shells because Levana's vain and doesn't want anyone that she can't control is way worse than we need their blood. Shells are doing their duty by helping us, keeping us safe from illness and stuff. Would have been much better look for her than I'm murdering people and innocent children because I can't control them well enough. The choice there. Anyway. So that's how Cress gets there. Thorne gets there because the android, he ends up winning the android in a card thing. And so the android helps him get to where she's been taken. And so that's how they get there. Once again, lost in the middle of the desert, but just so happens to find the place that Cinder and Dr. Erlin have been in. Cinder and Wolf are there because she's like, I don't know what else to do. I guess I finally have to go talk to Dr. Erlin, you know, what we wanted her to do in the last book. So that's how they get there. And she's like, Aiko, tell us how to get there. And then they get there. So the gang's all back together. Okay, let me say it like this. She does a really good job with Dr. Erlin because I'm not going to say he's a gray character, but he walks that line of you have some very obvious character flaws that are consistent and throughout and kind of cause his downfall a little bit at the end. But Cinder, still, go work with him. It's better if we all just work together. And then he dies, and it's very sad because it's mutated and now Lunars can get the plague. So, like I said, they're all back together. And Wolf has been continuously being knocked out and unconscious because every time he wakes up, he throws a fit and almost tries to murder Cinder. His only hope of getting Levana off the throne.
You know, semantics.
Talk about cutting off your nose just to spite your face. So annoying. But anyway, they get found out by the Eastern Commonwealth military because of course they do. And that whole scene was like, oh no, how in the world are they possibly going to get out of it? Well, Cinder has been walking around and getting to know the locals, and most of them are Lunars that have come to this little town, which is why it's the birthplace of this plague, is because this is where all the Lunars went that had the plague to begin with. And all of them hate Levana for one reason or another. So they all rally behind her, and it's looking bad because, Cinder can control a couple of them. Dr. Erlin can control a couple of them. The guard can't, I'm pretty sure, or he's able to do one. Cress can't. Wolf can't. Wolf is actually being controlled by Cinder now that I think about it. So I think she can do him and one guard, and Dr. Erlin can do a couple. And then the citizens just come out of the woodworks and are like, we are here to Deus Ex Machina, because there was literally no way they were going to get out of this without an entire town being like, let us control everybody else.
Yeah, I think only, it was either 7 or 11. They could not control hardly any people.
No, they are struggling because, they're not trained for this. But it does good enough where Cinder and the group are able to get on to the ship and fly away, which later on you learned everybody in that town, including civilians and military people, get genocided by Levana because she's evil.
Ugh.
We had to remind you of that. If you don't get reminded of that periodically, you'll think Cinder can actually do it, and you'll forget this is an underdog story.
No, it's worse than an underdog story. There's a 0% chance that she should be able to do anything.
Yeah.
She's very emotional, and it's good to see her human side, but she multiple times is like, oh, it's so easy. It's like talking to a child or like manipulating a child like with humans. She's like, I can see why she does it. It's so easy. And then she struggles to get 3 Lunars under her grasp. Okay, that's why Levana is winning.
Yeah. Once again, she has to be scary. There needs to be stakes, but she can't be too competent, or how in the world would Cinder do this?
She barely does.
And it's a young adult, so she does. I have no doubts in my mind that she manages to do it.
This girl better crash the party. She better win.
I'm not reading an 832 page for her not to win.
How hilarious would that be if it's like, well, and then we just went home? Or like, did you ever read the Divergent series? It's terrible.
No, I have avoided literally all of it. I heard they stopped making the movies.
Yay. The ending of the 3rd book was so bad, they just didn't ever film it. They made part 1 of the 3rd book and then just didn't continue. So this book is not that.
That's good to know at least. So they're in space and they're like, okay, so we need to rethink our plans because
we had no plan.
Dr. Erlin has talked reason into this. And once again, this was the whole, we're gonna switch it. And then they completely ignored that they had that plan and they were like, nah, let's just go straight to kidnapping Kai. That won't have any ramifications.
Cinder wanted to see her boyfriend.
Save him from getting married.
To her aunt, Chris.
So they split apart again here for the operation, so we can do one at a time. Thorne and Erland go to the labs. Cress knows about blueprints she shouldn't know about because she's a hacker. I don't know why literally anyone is surprised. They're like, how do you know about this? And Cress doesn't say it, but literally everyone, she's a hacker.
But also, how would this plan have worked without Cress existing?
I mean, granted, the original plan was not this.
It was a terrible plan, but somehow it would have been worse.
Which, on a side note, Cress, I am so glad you're on Team Anarchy.
She could be.
Why does she not tell literally anyone about all of the secret cameras she knows about?
Yeah.
She passes so many of them and she'll move them, but she doesn't remove them. She doesn't destroy them. She causes interference for a little while, but they're still there.
Yeah.
She knows everyone in the world is being bugged. Do you know how disruptive that would be to the reconnaissance if she was just like, here are all your bugs? Give Earth a chance.
Sam's like, she was trying to protect or didn't want to give away that she was the one doing it. But who else would know about all these cameras to move them slightly? Girl.
Wolf's not going to say anything because he's Wolf, but
she's got to know what she's doing.
Give Earth a flying chance. No. Nope. So they split up, and Dr. Erlin and Thorne go to the labs to make a ruckus, but actually also to help his eyes by stem cell project, which makes sense. At least stem cell research makes sense. But they do that. He's about to put the drops into his eyes, and then he's like, oh crap, I have the plague. And then he doesn't want to stand near Thorne. Manages to test him and is like, cool, you don't have the plague, so I'm going to let you go free, but I'm going to go in this room and then sit here and wait for my death. What's the germation period of this? Because as we know from COVID, you don't always show positive right away. Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be pretty quick, or at least I assume so, when he's like, oh, yep, you don't have it. You would have gotten it. Let's go. Bye.
Yeah. So questions, but that's beside the point. So he writes stuff on this tablet for him to give to Cress and gives him the eye drops. So that's their plot line. Eventually, Cress will make it down there. Cress and Wolf are pretending. I actually kind of like how they set this up, because they set this up early in this book. There's a delegate from Toronto, Canada, who makes a big deal about how he's not going to go. So Wolf and Cress take his invitation essentially electronically and are like, hey, we've showed up. I kind of loved it. I was like, okay, I see you, author. That was clever. Foreshadowing, and I didn't even realize it was foreshadowing.
Oh, yeah. Most of the time, they're not subtle with some of their stuff. That one was a good one.
Yeah, so Cress and him are pretending to be married, and they're just hanging out in the area until Thorne and Dr. Erlin make enough of a stink that the guards start acting weird. And logically, I don't understand how this would work in real life, because the people doing the wedding would be a completely separate team than the people doing the labs and the rest of the castle. Why are the guards at the wedding venue being disrupted? Clearly, they don't have enough people to do this.
Don't overthink it.
But it's what I'm so good at. So, yeah, whatever. They get the key, and so they start going through the castle to get to the control room. I was trying to think. Neither of them are able to control other people. So Wolf just knocks everyone out that they come up against.
Brute force. I love it. I love to see it.
Play to your strengths. So they make it to the security room where she does hacky stuff. And this was the point, especially, where she was mentioning what she was doing. And I was just like, an actual coder is probably dying on the inside. Especially since it's supposed to be technology from the 4th era. Oh, goodness. So she does technology stuff to get the cameras to not work and get the lunar cameras to not work. Not tell anybody that they're there, beside the point. So that all gets messed with. Aiko, okay. This plot point bothers me. And not in a, oh, that's a dumb thing, a real bothers me. The Emperor's wedding planner decides, hey, we should get androids involved in the staff secretly, because Luana doesn't want androids there because obviously they can't be controlled. Okay, so they're going to get a bunch of androids to pretend to be staff, and hopefully Luana doesn't know. Cinder specifically says how androids don't have bioelectricity. She can't sense them. They're like shells. I think Levana's gonna notice that the staff has androids.
Yeah, that, and then Aiko specifically is in a cargo or something, and there's a couple of Kai lookalikes. How in the world would Levana think that that's normal for the staff to look like the Emperor and not be like bodyguards, body doubles, something like that? Just cater waitering?
It's a horrible plan, and it's only so Aiko can pretend to be staff and get into the castle. Thankfully, we never circle back to this plot, and we don't have to worry about Levana realizing that androids are everywhere, but that would have come up.
Immediately.
Because they're like, oh, we'll make them look as human as possible. I'm like, that is not how this works.
But they don't know any Lunars that would have told them that.
Still.
So they don't know. They think it's a foolproof plan.
It was gonna blow up in their face so bad. But we never have to deal with that. And no one else needs to think about that except for Sam, who realizes and will not let it go. Beside the point, I suppose. Anyway, Aiko's able to pretend to be staff to let everybody in through the secret passageways that they were going through. So Cinder and Aiko go to kidnap Kai. Because of course she does. She wants to see her boyfriend. Even though if you think about it, wouldn't it make more sense for her to go with Wolf? I'm rethinking these teams. Anyway, so she goes, and he's like, I'm not doing this because I'm a responsible ruler that really only thinks about his country, about us, politics, beside the point. And instead of being like, hey, here's all the reason Levana's crazy and bad and trying to convince him, she's just like, nah, tranquilizer dart. And the advisor's there, and he hates her. He's hated her since the first book. But he's like, and they're like, we swear we're doing it for a good cause. And he's just glaring at them, but then tells him he has a second chip in case he gets kidnapped. Which I'm surprised Cress didn't know that, because she knew what his chip's name was under, his secret identity, because it's a different chip than Kai. It's not registered as Kai. It's registered as this random other person. But she didn't know about the second chip for some reason.
Well, did she not know, or...
Did she not tell them? I feel like she should have told them if she knew.
But she didn't tell them about all the cameras.
True. Anyway.
So their fantastic plan goes off without a hitch, sort of. They have the Emperor unconscious. Levana is real mad. And they are trying to escape to the roof where Jason's supposed to be waiting with the getaway ship.
Except he's not. He's there, but it's weird. But Sybil shows up at this point, and she has guards and whatever. And this is the first time I'm like, okay, Sybil, I see you. That's fair. I see you. Long story short of fight. Because at this point we have Thorne and Cress, and Thorne is trying to fight, but it's not working super great. And Cress is trying to help him, but it gets really easily attacked because she's been through a lot.
Also, theirs is so cute.
Oh yeah, in the desert, she thought she was dying, and she's like, I don't want to die before getting a kiss. And Thorne's like, I promise, when I think we're about to die, I will give you a kiss worth waiting for. And so he's like, yeah, we're probably about to die. I think of it funny more than cute.
Well, I was talking about the part, that is kind of cute, but where he's like, don't let me hit anybody that we like.
Yes, that was a good line. Sometimes I like Thorne.
Point and shoot. And then they're out of bullets, and it's like, oh crap, we're dead now. Okay, smooch. Adorable.
We had a good run.
I know, you had like 4 bullets. What was that gonna do?
So Sybil pulls the whole, I'm going to control Wolf, and Wolf is attacking Cinder, and Cinder is like, I'm trying to get Wolf back, but it's not working. And then she's like, but what if I manipulated the manipulator, and controls Sybil's mind and tortures her, frankly, until she goes crazy. But that stops the fight for sure.
Now, what a baller power move.
It really is, though.
I'm gonna sneak into your brain. Got him.
It worked. And they managed to get on the ship, minus the pilot. And poor Cinder is like, crap, now I gotta try to do this. Because at one point, the Lunar pilot was like, let me try to teach you how to do this, because we need more than just me knowing how to do it. And so she's like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this. And so she manages to do it, because the computer does most of it, but she does what she gotta do. And so they're off. And Sybil jumps from the top of the roof, but we only hear about that from a report later.
But also, Cinder definitely needs to learn how to better pilot the ship, because she had Thorne, now blind. She had Scarlet, missing. She had Jason, the guard, and he's long gone. And now it's just her. Also, how can Aiko not fly this ship? She has a computer in her brain. So does Cinder. How are they not good at flying planes?
Practice. It's one of those things that takes practice.
Aiko, before she got her new body, had been the ship. How is she not flying?
Okay, that's true. Well, isn't she still dead because she got attacked? It's after they lift off, because Kai's mad at her while she's repairing Aiko finally.
So was she powered down like most of this fight? I know she got torn up and then gets mad about it.
Yeah, because her wires got severed, but also the skin gets severed, and so it's not a good look. I'm pretty sure she repairs Aiko after they take off.
Okay, I'm not mad at Aiko anymore.
But they manage just to lift off, and Cress has her moment of, we need to make romance instead of just wish for it or whatever. I said the quote in the beginning, it's fine. So they're at the end, and Kai's like, hey, I'm mad at you, but not really. And they work out, even though Cinder knows all this information and doesn't tell him. Okay.
Yeah, because Kai still, at the very end of this, doesn't know that she's Celine, right? Or does at this point he know?
He doesn't know it yet, because he's like, so you do have her? And she's like, yeah, I have her. And I'm like, Kai, you're so stupid. It's her. And she's like, hey, it's me. And that's basically where we end this, is him going, oh.
It is you, isn't it?
Huh. Well, let's have a cute moment to remind everyone that we're supposed to end up together and not just be mad at each other.
To be fair, more people should have thought it was Scarlet. I don't understand why it's mentioned like one time that they think that Scarlet is Celine, because it's like, oh, a girl born without a birth certificate and lives with Benoit and whatever. It's her granddaughter that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, but I also feel like he should have gotten there because he found out about the connection with the stepfather. Anyway, this is beside the point. He finally figures it out while being kidnapped.
I know. Somebody should have known sooner.
So yeah, that's the end. Kai's been kidnapped. They have no idea what they're going to be doing next, but they have 832 pages to figure it out.
I know.
But honestly, I can tell that this is your favorite book because it has all your favorite tropes in it.
It's got them all.
Pretend relationship and cute naive girl meeting with the daring rogue, and they even almost had the one bed trope. They didn't get there.
They didn't use it, but they had it. They had the one bed trope.
All of the tropes, and I'm just checking them off like, yep.
That's stupid. I love it. But to be fair, Scarlet hardly moved the plot along. It did, but it didn't.
It gave you world building more than it gave you plot.
Yes, and so I feel like Cress really picked up where Cinder left off of, nope, let's actually do something. Let's move the pieces around a little bit. It definitely is way more setup because Winter obviously finishes it, and it is a lot, so a lot happens in Winter. So Cress is a little bit setting some of that up, but I don't know. It's cute. I like Cress.
Yeah, I can tell why. One question for the author. If she had to do another one, I have a list here. She didn't do Sleeping Beauty or The Frog Princess, Rumpelstiltskin, Hansel and Gretel, Jack and the Beanstalk. If she had to have 5 books, which one would she choose?
Ooh.
Because that really could be split. Like 416 pages. That's a book.
Well, Sleeping Beauty is so similar to Snow White, and that's who Winter is.
Rumpelstiltskin could have been good.
Yeah, but his main character is a guy.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. I'm just saying.
I think The Princess and the Frog would have been cute.
That could have been cool.
What was the plan if they didn't get Cress back? The legit thought out, I need the full instructions of this is what they actually were going to do. Even when Dr. Erlin's there for a second, oh, okay, let's revise it a little bit. And then Cress comes along and it's like, oh, well, you can do this and you can do that and I can help with this. Let's go. Okay, but literally, what was the full fleshed out plan that you guys came up with for a month? Because I feel like they didn't have one. I guess it's not really for the author, but...
Yeah. Yeah, all of that. Oh, heavens. Rating. I would give this, there's a war on out of 10. Because sometimes I feel like they forget. There's also a plague on.
I love it.
We have finally been reminded of those 2 things.
Almost at the end.
Yeah.
Well, because it feels like once the antidote's there, at the end of Cinder, it's like, oh, yeah, the plague's done. No, it's mutating to Lunars now. It's not over.
Yeah, the only reference it gets in Scarlet is that train moment. It was like, oh, we have to stop the train because someone has the plague. And they're like, oh, we'll just jump off and not be affected whatsoever by it.
I will give it falling in love with a stranger you've never met and then never meeting your idols out of 10 because they will disappoint you. Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
She's in love. She's so cute. But he's her idol.
This whole time you're hyping up the romance and at the end it's like never meet your idols.
Don't do it. I mean, she does get to learn the real Thorne and he tries to be a better person for her. I don't think you can really change, but he tries to be the version she sees and I like that. I don't know. You can always fix him. The stupid romance tropes that I love, even though it's not true. That's Cress and Thorne.
So one more trope to add for you.
I love them all.
Read it again. Not anytime soon, just because of how long it is. But yeah, I'll probably reread this entire series. Unless the Winter, for some reason, has a really disappointing ending. Which, since you make people read it, I'm going to say that's a no.
You've hated almost every book I've suggested, so...
Lies! We have a tally!
Yeah, but most of them are from this series that you like.
No, I only counted Cinder for the tally, because, yeah, we both decided. You have 2.5 out of 4.
Which one was the half you didn't like?
I'll give you the sun.
Okay. Memory of a Goldfish over here.
You can always re-listen to the episode. It's up.
True. I will definitely reread this again. I want you next time around to audiobook it because Rebecca Soler does it, and specifically for Scarlet, she has this really cute French accent. It's still obviously in English, but I don't know. She makes the characters, like Aiko is adorable. You want to pinch her little cheeks. I love this voice actor. And also, then it will make Winter much quicker to get through than 826 pages.
I'm curious how long the audiobook is now. Let me see. I'm looking it up now. 24 hours.
Better get started reading.
That is the length of the most recent Barbara Kingsolver book. So.
But to be fair, you listened to it on about 2.0.
Oh, I listened to 3X.
Oh my God.
It drives my husband nuts.
2.0 is fast. That's the fastest I'll go. I am a steady 1.75, 1.8.
Nah. If it doesn't sound like gibberish to everyone around me, what's the point? But have you read this book? Are you a Cinder, Cress, or Scarlet when problem solving? Do you have any book recommendations for us? Tell us all about it in the comments below. If you like the video, hit like. And if you're enjoying yourself, hit subscribe for more. Thanks for exploring Cress with us. Join us next time when we'll be covering Conceal, Don't Feel by Jen Colanita. I'm Sam Reiner.
And I'm Danielle.
And we hope to see you and a friend here next time. Escape With Me Book Club is a Lunar Skulk production. Check us out on TikTok or Instagram to keep up to date with us. Lunar_SKULK.